family contribution, etc. Now, balancing between the house, the home, and, say, Islamic work, okay, that is a challenge. But balancing between work, home, and Islamic work, that's a bigger challenge. Extremely difficult, and especially in this country where you hardly get time off work. Right? You clock in and you clock out. You have 2 weeks vacation time, 3 weeks vacation time. If you're lucky, you get 4 weeks vacation time throughout the year, and you get your regular federal national holidays, which are few and far between. So now, in those holidays and vacation times on weekends, you have to now balance your home duties and the duties that you are volunteering for. And that's tricky. You're juggling all the time. So as you juggle physically, your emotions are also being juggled. But you don't realize that. Okay? Your children may realize it, your spouses may realize it, and later on, after a while, you realize it, then you burn out. Your stamina is gone. Okay? The gas you had in your tank is not there anymore. You'll see your gas gauge, there's nothing there. Why is it there? I just filled up. That's because you've expended all your energy in those 6 months or 1 year, because you didn't manage your gas tank correctly or properly. So the Prophet ﷺ gave us insights into how to do this. So the first priority was that you take care of yourself and your family members. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ وَأَهْلِيكُمْ. Protect yourselves and your family members from what it is you need to protect yourselves against. So you should have time allocated per week, if not daily, for family issues, okay, and discussions and chores. Not only discussing, but also very concrete chores and tasks that need to be done throughout the house, in the house, etc. Well, that we do very well with work, because with the work, most, mashallah, families agree typically that work is first priority, then family is second priority. Right? You don't have to convince someone you're married to, I have to work from 6 to 6 in order to keep the house running. I mean, that's no brainer. If you do have a problem, then maybe you should get married to that person. Right? This problem has a work. This person has a problem with me working from 6 to 6. Now that doesn't happen. They'll get frustrated, they might get annoyed, but then they will acquiesce and resign to the reality of life, that you must do that. So the prioritizing between work and the home is rarely an issue. So just as that is important, the home and the work, the Islamic activity is also very important on a social level. So now, what would be the ideal to help us balance that? Okay, the ideal is that the whole family is involved in the Islamic work, somewhere, somehow. Right. So this was, I think, understood in the 70s, 80s, when our early pioneers, mashallah, helped develop this line of thinking, that until and unless the family members enjoy and appreciate the Islamic work, the society will not develop. You can't separate the family from the Islamic work. And the only way, as I see it, do it is include the family in the Islamic work you're trying to do, so it becomes part of their lives. If you detach it from their lives, then you need to juggle. Then it becomes difficult. And this was the key to the success of the community in Medina, which I just hinted to. That the Sahaba, men and women, they both saw Islamic work as part of their lives, an extension of their lives, a necessary function, feature of their lives. Okay? They do not see that as a volunteering position. They saw it as something that was necessary for them to develop and build. So that's the key, that's the trick. So if you can sit down and convince your family members that this is an important task for my existence. Right? And everybody's on the same page, then it's easy. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Otherwise it becomes very meddlesome and troublesome, and unfortunately some families have broken up because of this, not understanding that issue. Now, the problem with our setup here in North America is that we have so many social functions on the weekends which come in between us and Islamic work. And so you have this shadi, and you have this mendi, and you have this ameen, this bismillah, God knows what, khatna parties now. So, right? All kind of parties that go on. So now it's not only your family, it's your in-laws, it's your mamu, your taya, and it's your 15th cousin that you haven't seen for years, who's saying, you must come to my kid's walima, or my kid's cousin's walima. Okay? Then it becomes ridiculous. Do you understand? This is the setup now in Chicago. The Friday evenings and Saturdays is all shadi, dawat, shadi, dawat, shadi, dawat. Hence, you see no one doing any more volunteer work, because everybody's engaged in merrymaking, enjoying themselves. And if you say no to a dawat, they say, oh, how dare you say no? Then your relationships are cut off and severed. So it's very difficult. Why? Because the rest of the community are not reading the same book you are. That's the problem. Never mind the same page, they're not reading the same book. Right? So we have to go to that down. So when we hold meetings or when we hold programs, everybody's saying, okay, is there conflicting wedding that day? Is there conflicting ameen that day? Is there conflicting other programs? Social affairs become a very, very big problem. And nowadays what's happening is that even before we say we want to do some work, we are always forced to say we will check with our social calendar first. Social calendar now takes the priority, which becomes even more difficult. And I think that's where most of us, we've lost steam on this issue. But anyway, so here, balancing between work, home, family, society, and now Islamic work, where Islamic work is seen as perhaps a feather in your cap, nothing else. It's a color that you use to decorate your jacket. It's not seen as the jacket. Right? Something on your collar, you can have a star. It's not seen as the jacket itself. Before, in early Muslim societies, it was the jacket you wore. And the social events were the colors that decorated the jacket. Now it's the opposite. Things have changed drastically and considerably for the worse. So we must develop a sense in people that are around us, especially the close family members, that look, if I go to work and I have to miss a wedding,